Yep, that's me. And if you're wondering about the title and thumbnail of this video, allow me to explain. So I'm a commercial glazer. It's a family business. My dad started about 30 years ago. I've been in it ever since I graduated high school full time. I worked summers throughout middle school and high school. And last year we purchased a glass trailer. It's pretty big, pretty heavy trailer. It's all steel construction, and empty it's about 7,000 pounds. These are important details. And it also catches a lot of wind, so it takes a pretty strong truck to pull it. So for the last 4 years, I've driven a 2019 F-250 Power Stroke. Very strong truck. It pulls that trailer great. So my work truck is a GMC Sierra 6.0 gas, 2016 2500. That work truck is pretty good for the majority of things. It just doesn't pull that trailer very good. Around town it's fine, but it just struggles to keep that thing up to interstate speed with a load on it. So I always drive my F-250 when I pull that trailer. So with that information out there, let me go ahead and start working through the details of what happened today. So we have a job in Bentonville that's a pretty decent sized storefront job. We got a lot of frames on it, probably 40 something frames, quite a few openings. We were going to start that one today, and we were bringing material to the job site, so we were going to use the trailer, or we did use the trailer. So we loaded it up this morning, all the frames that we have, and I made the decision to use my F-250 because it pulls that trailer better. It's kind of a far drive from where our shop is. We worked till about lunchtime. I dropped the trailer on the job site, and we went ahead and went to lunch. And we were debating on where to go. We were talking about going between Zaxby's and Raising Cane's. And the funny thing about that is that we mentioned Zaxby's because it was a little bit closer. And I said, well, the problem that we have to factor into the equation is that if we go to Zaxby's, we have to consider that I'm going to have a wreck trying to pull back out of that parking lot because it's in a horrible spot right on the corner of two very busy roads. It's really hard to get back out of that parking lot. So for that reason, not even making that up, for that reason we decided to go to Cane's because their parking lot's just easier to get in and out of. So as we're going there, that was the first clue of what was about to happen. And then as we're going there, I'm listening to The Ramsey Show. And it's the recent episode with George Camel and John Deloney. And a caller calls in and mentions that he, I can't remember the details of the call exactly, but he had some kind of debt I think he was planning on paying off, or he had a payment coming up, something he was wanting to purchase, and he was asking for their opinion on using some money that he recently got from a car settlement, $80,000. So we're listening to that, and as that's playing, I get into the turning lane to turn into Raising Cane's, and I literally hear that, and I open my mouth to say, wow, that guy got lucky with that settlement. And boom, we get hit from behind hard, really hard. It throws my hat off, it throws my sunglasses off. My little jar of change that I keep on my center console cup holder flew up, change flew everywhere. My Monster flipped over in the cup holder. My protein shake bottle jumped out of the cup holder and went down on the floor. And so we hit that, and it had no indication that was happening. I wasn't looking behind me. I was in the turning lane, so I was watching traffic this way so that I was waiting to turn into Raising Cane's. So that happens, and my initial thought is always that I just messed something up. I was like trying to think, like, what did I just do that caused that? But like I pretty quickly realized I'm stopped. I couldn't have hit anything. So I look up and I see this car spinning. It's spinning in the lane like 3 or 4 times and goes past us and probably 40 yards in front of us right here. And we start talking pretty fast. You know, my cousin was in the truck with me, and he says, "Oh my gosh, they must have been asleep or something to hit us that hard." Because it didn't make sense how hard we got hit. Because even though I wasn't looking behind me, I knew that there was a long line of cars in the turning lane behind me. So I was thinking no one could have been driving in the turning lanes. That's the first thing that you think, is that someone was driving in the turning lane and just didn't see you coming and just slammed into you, or maybe they tried to swerve and they hit the side or something. And I was thinking, that doesn't make any sense. There's a whole line of cars behind me. where did this guy come from where he just hit? You know, and so you start thinking maybe they were intoxicated, maybe they were looking at their phone, but it didn't make sense that they were driving that fast. It was a red light, and the red light was right there. You know, you're going through all the problem solving in your head. I couldn't draw conclusions. So when this car hit me, I have my little, if you watch my channel regularly, you know that I do work vlogs. I've got a little Insta360 Go camera that I keep on my hat. I had that camera on my dash. I got a little tray on the dash. I dropped that camera in the dash whenever we were going to lunch. And that camera's got a big button on the front that makes it easy to turn on. When they hit us, everything flew forward. That camera jumped up and hit the windshield, and it actually hit the record button. And so I have footage of our reaction as soon as it happened. It started recording maybe 3 seconds after the impact. So I'm going to go ahead and play that footage here.
They were like
chains to the tune of
asleep, freaking smashed.
And so parents, please
frick.
have the conversation.
I'm surprised I
with
didn't
kids,
freaking
even
put
if
the
it's
airbags
awkward,
off.
even if you have your own
Yeah,
baggage
oh my
and
gosh.
shame and guilt and money mistakes, do
Your
not
back
continue
wheel
to let this
is
generation go
gone over
deeply.
here. Completely.
Well, did you hear the drive shaft freaking
Yeah.
spinning just then?
Holy frick.
They never got out.
No. They were just going like freaking full speed and just freaking
We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Somehow.
I don't know.
Man, he hit us hard though.
You got you good, didn't it?
Yeah,
it hit,
he
yo, it
like,
knocked my whole wheel off. My drive shaft is just banging against the bottom of the truck.
Felt like it hit me too, but
It was probably a piece of my truck.
I think he was
He
spinning.
was spinning too. Yeah.
He might have hit your passenger
I
side.
got his cell phone. Someone paid attention to a red light.
I don't know what. They haven't even gotten out of their car yet.
It recorded for 18 minutes. I just saved that first minute because the rest of it's just, we get out of the truck and then it's just recording nothing. So that's funny to me that happened and that actually recorded that. It's cool to have. Good to show everyone that we didn't freak out or panic when it happened. But so you can hear immediately guys start walking up. The guy in front of me came up. His truck was apparently hit by the car as it came by. The girl behind us came up and her side view mirror got knocked off by the guy. I get out and I go to look at what the back of my truck looks like. From the feeling, it felt like they hit us directly in the back. So I'm immediately thinking, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So it happens, and you hear that banging around in the video. It's my drive shaft. It broke in half. So since my truck's in drive, as soon as it breaks free from the axle, it's just spinning under the truck again loosely and banging around. And so I hear that immediately. I knew that's what that was as soon as I heard that banging around. So I put the truck in park. You hear me shift it, put it in park so that the drive shaft's not banging around under the truck anymore. And I knew, before I got out, I knew it was bad because of that. I mean, if it's bad enough it breaks the drive shaft, that's pretty bad. And so my cousin looks in the mirror and he says, your entire wheel is gone. It's just completely gone. And I look over and I can see pieces of the wheel all blown up in the road. And I'm just expecting the worst when I get out the back. And as I'm getting out, I'm thinking about my toolbox I just bought. I just got decked drawers. I've been dreaming of having those for years. And I finally bought some a month or two ago, maybe 3 months ago. And I'm thinking, man, I'm sure that thing is just destroyed. Because I thought that they directly hit me in the back. And so I start walking around the truck and I look at the back. It's perfectly fine. Tailgate's perfectly fine. There's nothing on the bumper. Bumper's not even barely bent. And I was like, what the heck? You know, how did they hit us in the back and the back of the truck's not even hurt? But I knew that he said that the wheel was blown off. So I walked around all the way around and I looked at the side and then I saw the extent of the damage. So this happened today. We've had no assessments done. No professionals have had a chance to look at it. I was a little amped up taking a look at it, so my judgment may not be perfect of what happened. I didn't look at it up close either. The police officers and firefighters were coming up constantly, so I didn't ever really, and also it was out in the middle of the road. Traffic was driving by, so I don't want to start crawling underneath the truck and taking a look at everything. But my assessment from the time that I was standing over there looking at it, it hit, the vehicle hit, you can see in the pictures, the vehicle hit just behind the wheel and peeled the aluminum bed which is always interesting to see on the Ford trucks. And then the car hit the tire hard enough that it blew the wheel apart and shifted the entire axle forward, or at least the axle on the passenger side forward. It shifted it like this at the minimum. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to do extensive checks, so I don't know if the whole axle shifted forward or if it just did this and pushed that side forward. But it pushed it forward so far that one of the leaf springs slid out, and it pushed it forward so far that it broke the drive shaft somewhere. I didn't see what part of the drive shaft broke. It could have just been the U-joint. It could have actually broke it somewhere else. I don't know. It was towards the back. It was towards the rear of the drive shaft. Around the connection to the rear axle is where it snapped. And I think it was hard to tell. It looked like the leaf spring mounts, the entire leaf spring and then the mounts in the front, pushed forward so hard that mount buckled the frame in sideways. I think. Like I said, it's minor. If it is bent, it wasn't bent very much. But me and everybody else that came and looked at it thought they were all seeing the same thing. Everyone was agreeing that it looked like the frame was bent. So that's the important part, and my guess that I think the truck is probably totaled. The amount of damage in the first place of the axle being shifted and the drive shaft breaking, and then you think about that drive shaft getting shoved forward into all the components in front of it, is probably pretty bad anyway. But then that at the very minimum, the leaf spring mounts were bent. I could see that, the mounts that are attached to the frame. But it really looked like the frame was bent in just a little bit from where that hit it. And I know it's very, very unlikely for an insurance company to not total a vehicle with frame damage. For one, even if they can repair it, that really hurts the resale value of a vehicle to have on its Carfax report. So as of right now, with what I know, I'm thinking the truck is probably going to be totaled. I could be wrong. It could end up not being that minor of damage once the shop looks at it or something, but I'm thinking probably. So witnesses start coming up, and a guy came up with the Dashcam footage that I showed at the beginning of the video. Let me go ahead and play that whole video unedited right here so you can see that one more time.
Oh my god.
Call 911.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm on Walton Boulevard, right in front of Raising Cane's.
Okay, can you repeat that? Make sure I heard you correctly.
I'm on Walton Boulevard, right in front of Raising Cane's.
And I just want to say to that guy that walked up with the Dashcam footage and stuck around and talked to the police officers and stuff, thank you. You didn't have to do that. That was a very strong and noble thing to do, to take the time out of your day to make sure that all the information was correct in the police reports, and take the time to export your Dashcam footage and give it to me. And he was a really cool guy too. We talked for a while. It's very nice to hear the concern in him and the woman's voice that was in the car with him. I don't know if that's his wife, sister, girlfriend, but the girl that was in the car with him. It's nice to hear and see the concern from strangers for strangers. I really appreciate him sharing the Dashcam footage with me. I'm glad to have that. So the police department showed up very quickly. It was a very fast response. I didn't call anyone. I figured so many people saw it. I knew someone was going to call. So I just took the time to make sure that we were safely getting out of the truck and, easily being cautious as we're walking around, because traffic's still just moving. It's like people didn't even really care, which you can't expect them to. So the police show up, and funny story, the female officer that was actually mainly running I don't really know if you call it an investigation, but the crash, she was running the crash scene and getting everybody's information. We actually met her probably about a year ago. We were working right down the street from where this accident happened today, and we walked from our job site to a food truck, once again getting lunch. and it started raining after we walked there, and she was getting food at the same truck, and she offered to drive us back to our job site, and since it was raining, she said, hey, I'm a police officer. She wasn't in her squad car in her uniform. She said, hey, I'm a Bentonville police officer, and I'm going right over here if you guys want me to give you a ride back to your job so that you don't have to walk back in the rain. We said thanks, but no thanks. We knew what we signed up for when we decided to walk here. We didn't want to interrupt her day, so it's funny to see her again in those instances, or in those circumstances. But she did a really good job. All the Bentonville police officers were great. It was a very easy experience. I have no doubt that they're handling everything. They called the truck. The truck came and hauled the truck off. I got all my personal stuff out of it pretty quick because I obviously wasn't driving that truck home. So as he's loading the truck up, all of the police officers kind of came over to us. Everyone had been talking to everyone. He's talking to the other cops. And he said, well, yeah, his story pretty much lines up with with what all the witnesses were suspecting. He told us that and this is the important part where the thumbnail and title will make sense. He told the police officers that he no longer felt like living, so he closed his eyes and floored the gas, and he didn't care who got hurt in the process. It was just is what it is, and he decided that his life was going to end. So, depending on what outcome he wanted to happen, I don't think he got what he wanted because he was perfectly fine. His wife was in the vehicle with him, and she was perfectly fine. And he hit me, who is immortal, perfectly fine. He picked the right vehicle to hit out of the lineup. So I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did because the car behind me was a younger girl. She's probably in her early 20s. And she was pretty shooken up. He knocked her mirror off as he went by. And she came up, right after it happened, and she said, I've never been in an accident before. I don't really know what to do. And fortunately, the guy that was in front of me, who also lightly got hit, his bumper was a little bit bent. I don't know if the car hit him or if it was just pieces of vehicles that hit his truck. But fortunately, he had strong father figure vibes, and he kind of took over with her because she was pretty shooken up. And I did the best I could considering what just happened. But everyone's estimations was that car was going about 60 miles an hour when it hit the back of my truck. So, like I said, it was a hard hit. But fortunately, it worked out the way that it did because it hit my big truck out of it. She was in it was a Ford Edge, I think, or maybe a Ford Focus. I can't really remember what it looked like. I barely took a glimpse at it. And the guy in front of me was in a older F-150, I'm pretty sure. So, and I'm pretty sure it was just a single cab. So, I mean, out of the three vehicles, the little car that she was in, my truck, or that guy's truck, my truck was the best one to hit. It was the biggest, heaviest target that could absorb that impact the best. So I'm glad that it was me out of them because it could have been a lot worse. And it also could have been a lot worse if it hit my truck in a different spot. Because fortunately, with it hitting the axle, you think about the tire, there was the compression of the tire and then the wheel exploding, which absorbed force, and then the axle breaking forward underneath the truck without the truck really moving. And there's a lot of breaking points for that energy to be dissipated throughout without transferring much of that to us in the seats. But if you think about, he said he closed his eyes and floored it. So he wasn't aiming at anything, so he could have just as easily hit any other place. He could have, if he had been a little bit farther to the left and he hit in the back of the bumper, imagine that shock transfer through the vehicle instead of hitting the axle and the axle just breaking out from under the truck. If it hit the back of the truck and crushed in and jolted the whole body of the truck, that would have been a lot worse. Like I said, it's a 60-mile-an-hour impact against a stationary truck. And then also think about if he had been a little bit farther to the right and he hit the cab of the truck with me and my cousin in there at 60 miles an hour. I don't like thinking about it, how much worse that could have been. So, super close call. And as selfish as the act of what that guy did was, he had no regard for his life, the life of his wife that was in the vehicle with him, or any of the random people that were around him. He didn't care. He just decided his life was ending, and he didn't care whose life was going to end with it. I imagine, well, I'm not going to make speculations, but with his wife being in the car with him and him making that decision, you can probably draw the conclusion of what he probably expected to happen to his wife also. So as bad as that, as what he decided to do was, and what could have happened to me, I mean, imagine if the situation was a little bit different, like what I just mentioned, or if I was on a motorcycle or in a smaller vehicle, because he would have done what he did either way. He didn't target my truck because he knew it was a big truck and he wasn't going to hurt anybody. But despite all that, it's still relieving when that happens to look up there at their vehicle and see both of them up and walking, and the paramedic come check them, and then the paramedics leave without doing anything to anybody because everybody is perfectly okay. This could have gone so much worse in so many other ways, but fortunately, the worst that's come of it is my truck is probably totaled, and his vehicle is, I would assume, probably also totaled. So he went to jail, as far as I know. The police officer said that he was going to, because of the endangerment that he put everybody else in. My dream truck that I've had for 4 years, and I've never had a complaint about, and doesn't even have 100,000 miles on it, is rotting in a tow yard. So I called my dad. Fortunately, he didn't have anything super big going on. And also, real quick, while I'm talking about my dad, I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos. He just started a YouTube channel. He's making camping and backpacking, hiking, motorcycling content. I'm going to put his YouTube channel in the top comment in the description, like I usually do. I would really appreciate it if anyone that's into that type of content checks him out. Everyone knows how hard it is to get a YouTube channel started, so he's always been extremely supportive of my YouTube channel and encouraged me to pursue it. So try to do what I can to help boost his growth on his channel. He's putting a lot of work into his videos. They're really good. But he was free, so he was able to just come get us. I told him not driving my truck home. It's on a wrecker. So we sat there. He was there in 20 minutes or so, and he took us back. But here's the big problem. The trailer is still dropped on the job site, and all of our tools are on the job site, and I don't have a truck. So, and he drives a Jeep Gladiator. He can't pull that trailer. So he took us back to the shop, and I got in my work truck, the one that I don't like pulling that trailer with, but it can do it. And I drove all the way back up there, and I got the trailer and brought it back. So it's a fortunate situation that I am in a position where I just have two trucks. I got my work truck and that truck, the F-250. So while the F-250's down, I've got my glass truck. I can just drive that one. It's a work truck, but I don't care at all about driving it. I don't do a whole lot of personal stuff anyway. Work on my house, but it'll actually be more convenient to be in that truck because it has all my tools on it all the time. So it won't be a bad setup. I'm glad that I got that and I don't have to deal with trying to get a rental set up or anything. But like I mentioned, he picked the right guy to hit because he hit the tank F-250 with the guy that's invincible driving it. So I'm not hurt at all, perfectly fine. It was like I said, it was a hard hit, but it was nothing like any mild dirt bike crash. So knocked my hat off, knocked my sunglasses off, my phone slid out of my lap. I picked all that stuff up, but I'm not injured at all. And neither is my cousin. He's perfectly fine. Everybody, as far as I could tell, was perfectly fine in that wreck, which is amazing. That came of what could have been such a horrible situation. Especially considering that he just decided that he does not care who gets hurt or goes down with him. Wild behavior. So, as much as it sucks, I'm so glad with how the situation rolled out. I guess maybe I needed a different truck, if this one ends up being totaled. I guess maybe it was time for an upgrade. I like that truck. I planned on driving it as long as I could. I've taken as good a care of that truck as I could. Just rolled over 90,000 miles, still under 100,000. Everything's always worked so good. I've never had any problems out of that truck. It's never had to go in the shop for anything. But I wouldn't mind upgrading to a truck with a slightly higher towing capacity. It seems like trailers get heavier every year. So I've been getting that truck kind of close to its max. If I could get a truck with another 3,000 or 4,000 pound towing capacity, that'd be pretty nice. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions on what's going to end up happening because my truck could be fine. I would love that. I love that truck. I wanted to drive it for 10 years. I've already driven it for 4. No desire. Like I said, that was my dream truck. There's no truck that I want more than that one. So, but I'm okay with the situation however it plays out. Much as I like that truck, I don't get emotionally attached to stuff like that. But with that said, we'll see what plays out in the next couple of days or weeks, however long this whole process ends up taking. I'll keep you guys updated. Like I said, this just happened today. It just happened about 7 hours ago, actually. I'm thankful that I have all you guys watching, supporting. I'm going to, in memoriam of my truck, in case it's totaled, I'm going to roll a little slideshow of all my favorite pictures of that truck over the past 4 years that I've driven it, with some sad music behind it, because like I said, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think that truck's probably done for. So I'm beginning the grieving process of losing that truck. So I'm going to put a little slideshow in. If any of you guys are interested in seeing some of my memories with that truck. Thank you guys for sticking around for the entire video. Leave me any comments. I appreciate it. I read all the comments and reply to as many of them as I can. And check out my dad's channel. And thank you guys for watching.